The Senate on Tuesday granted approval to President Bola Tinubu's request to send Nigerian troops to the Republic of Benin as part of efforts to help restore calm and stability after last weekend's attempted military takeover in that country. The endorsement was announced by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary following a review of the President's letter to the Committee of the Whole in accordance with Section 5, Part 2 of the Constitution. Lawmakers voted unanimously to support the deployment, effectively granting parliamentary authorization for the regional security mission. Akpabio commended the resolution as timely, stressing that unrest in any neighboring country could easily destabilize the wider region. Global Affairs Analyst Dr. Victor Okhai is now here to discuss emergency decision of the sub-regional body ECOWAS and Senate's vote to deploy troops to Benin Republic. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon.
So, given that the coup attempt was swiftly thwarted, is a full troop deployment by ECOWAS and Nigeria really needed?
At this point, quite frankly, I think not. The worst is over. The coupists have been dislodged. So, and if I were to go by what during the screening of the new defense minister, General Chris Musa, said, that every time, let's say the Air Force, let me use that as an example, go out there and then drop a bomb. Some of these bombs could cost as much as $100,000. And whether or not you meet the target, whether you miss it or you meet it, that's money down the drain. So every military operation is very expensive. And I recall that during that meeting as well, that screening period, he talked about the need for the recruitment of more manpower into the military. And so you wonder, we do not have enough, and we're trying to deploy more to, our regional, our neighboring countries for something that is already over and something that is, quite frankly, if you ask me, not our business. Even if you're talking about a spillover from how many people are in Benin Republic in reality. When we blocked the border, they couldn't come in here. So yes, granted, in case of an emergency, you might say, according to international conventions, you cannot restrict people from coming in. But this was just a family affair as far as I'm concerned. The people were not happy with the government, and quite rightly so, because the president was being clever by half, changing the constitution, creating illegalities with legalities, and then so hamstringing everyone, using legalities and disqualifying people who are supposed to contest against him. Frankly, we had no business interfering in that matter. But again, it is what it is. And then I begin to wonder as well, although you didn't ask, but the swiftness with which we...
Still, I was going to go there.
Yeah, okay, you asked so I can answer.
It was a rapid deployment. I mean,
yes.
We were on our phones all Saturday.
Yes.
Are these really true, the reports that we're hearing, that we're dropping bombs over Benin? But it was a strong showing of military force, yes. We must say that. Does this now set a new, stronger, more dangerous precedent that for ECOWAS and Nigerian intervention in comparison to the more measured responses that we saw in the recent coups in Niger and Mali? What could be the risks of this precedent? Could we be giving our cousins in the West, i.e. President Donald Trump, ideas about the sovereignty or the flexibility of the sovereignty of our West African nations? Okay,
you know what just dropped in my mind right now? Do unto others as you would be done by, but that's neither here nor there. Now, you recall that in Guinea-Bissau, our former president was trapped there. Mm-hmm. We did not respond. It took Côte d'Ivoire. It was Côte d'Ivoire that sent, its forces and jets to come and rescue a former Nigerian president. Okay? Let me tell you what I think is happening generally. You see, the leaders in West Africa, and I've said so before now, notice the trend. many of them do not respect democracy. What they see this coup like a virus that if you allow will continue to spread, okay? And every coup sort of poses an existential threat to their continuous stay in power. And so they feel that it must be nipped in the bud to kill the idea in the minds of anyone who may want to try it. And so if you look at what Taron, or what's his name is, what he did, yes, there was a coup, and then the next thing he did was issue a note verbal and then ask for help. Oh, come and help me and all of that. And then we responded immediately. We acted before even thinking, without waiting. I mean, if you go into another nation, it's an act of war, because if we had not succeeded, we have declared war with Benin Republic. Quite frankly, ECOWAS or no ECOWAS, you know? And that's what would have resulted from it. Why Niger didn't work was, it's not for want of trying. Our government tried. The president was the head of ECOWAS at the time. But, you know, the population of Niger, over 54% are Hausa speaking. And so with the Hausas, I mean, our northern brothers have both historical and filial affiliations with these people. And like I usually would say, I say it like a joke, but it's for real. Some of them are even contesting elections and holding offices in Nigeria here. And we, so it's like you attack Niger, it's like you're attacking our northern brothers. And so his hands were tied. So there was very little he could do. It wasn't for want of trying. But at that point, you know, I think political expediency took better of the government's decision. Now, in the case of Benin, that was not the case. It was easy to just do that. And we deployed not just Air Force, but also ground forces as well. The formations we had along the borderlines were deployed immediately. So it was both air and ground force that we deployed at the same time. And I'm saying, if we're this efficient, in fact, clinically and ruthlessly efficient, couldn't we have done the same with the terrorists? For instance, when these kids were kidnapped, and I recall the immediate past defense minister saying that bombs cannot penetrate what's the forest now, Sambisa. So our Air Force should not try and all that. And I'm wondering, so really? So bombs can, But anyway, it is what it is.
Sadly so.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about, the Senate's reaction. Would you say there was adequate scrutiny on the risk, the mandate limits, the exit strategy, so many things to consider of Nigeria deploying troops to Benin Republic, given how rapidly, they gave their approval?
Unfortunately, and I want to make bold to say this without any fear of equivocation, the Senate we have is nothing but a rubber stamp.
There we go.
The National Assembly, you see, when we took on this system of government, those who embraced it looked at the checks and balances that were supposed to, be across the various, arms of government. But it looks like all have been fused into one now, the executive. So the National Assembly is now an appendage of the executive, as are other arms of government. So what are the things that you should be looking at? It's not just a matter of going there. There should have been a debate. The same way we debated, the Senate scrutinized the defense minister. Questions should have been asked. Do we have appropriation for something like this? Because money is going to be spent, okay? What are the implications of doing this? How long, like you rightly pointed out, should they be there? Are we going to deploy them there? What happens to, we have withdrawn security from VIPs.
Have we really?
No, well, supposedly, because there's inadequate manpower to fight these bandits and terrorists. Now we are from the same pool that is not even adequate right now, we're pulling out again now to go to another country that should not really, frankly, be our priority at this moment. But again, let me say this so that, there's a bit of balance. It doesn't appear like we're all just criticizing government. I think, and I frankly, I don't think government even thought about this, but they can use it as an excuse. Let's give it to them, okay? Now, Benin, quite frankly, is a very important economic corridor for us, okay? So when we move goods from Lagos here, from Nigeria, they have to go through Benin, Togo, Ghana, and all that. And if anything happens to Benin, or if they are to join the Sahelian states, it will, quite frankly, affect us economically one way or another. So there is a need for us to have a bit of stability in that place as well.
And on a macro level, it's very clear that there's another scramble for Africa going on. External powers, Russia, the U.S., France, they're influencing the current political security dynamics within the region. Are they not undermining ECOWAS's sovereignty, our internal cohesion, the authority that we have been scrambling to get as West African states?
We used to have one ECOWAS. Sadly, AU is a toothless bulldog. Now ECOWAS has joined. And the reason is because even the Anglophone countries who have no business with France are now carrying France's business on their head. You know, now we don't have a united ECOWAS. ECOWAS, we have lost our Sahelian brothers, which is really, really sad. And the only reason for this is because of the West, who have no business. It's like what's happening in Cameroon, where where the country is divided, not along even ethnic lines, but along colonial language lines, Francophone and Anglophone. And they are like, they keep fighting each other, because of people that have no business, they shouldn't even have any business with. So we have been talking about a united Africa, but it is obviously not in the interest of the West. They need to divide us in order to be able to rule us effectively and continue to exploit our resources and use us one against the other.
Well, Global Affairs Analyst, Dr. Victor Okhai, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.